Hi everyone, you're welcome to Vab Fashion's YouTube channel. I hope you all are doing well. In this video, I'll be sharing with us how I made this beautiful, simple gown you see right here on the mannequin. This is the style inspiration. The style inspiration has embroidery on it, but here I decided to create a different design using this beautiful Dubai bias, which they call it in our local market here, and they also call it shiny bias. You can see I used it to achieve this combination, so it now looks like my own version of embroidery. This is what the sleeves of this outfit looks like. It has like a jacket over it, and the down part is flared. It has gathers at the down part. This is beautiful and it is simple to make. I hope this is something you're interested in learning. Please make sure to keep on watching till the end. And please, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, this is the right time to hit on the subscribe button to subscribe. And ensure that you share this video, like this video, engage in this video, leave nice comments. Thank you so much, and let's get right into the video. I'll be making use of this Ankara fabric for this project, and I have 5.5 yards here. And then these are the Dubai bias I talked about. That's the shiny bias we'll be using to decorate the gown. I have black, burnt orange, and gold. For the black, I have 6 yards. For the burnt orange and gold, I have 5 yards each. And then I have this lace trimming we'll be using to create the jacket that will be sewing to the jacket of the sleeve. I'm just referring to it as jacket because we have the inner sleeve. And then to go ahead and fold our fabric, you need to determine the amount of fabric to fold. And I'm going to be using the biggest measurement to determine that, and which is the hip. The hip measurement is 52. 52 divided by 4 is 13 inches, plus 2 inches for ease and for sewing allowance. So that's 15 inches. So for the front, I'm going to fold 15 inches. For the back, I will add extra 1.5 inches for zip allowance, which is what I have done. So you can see this line I'm marking is the zip allowance. So we're drafting the front and back together. The one underneath that has the chalk mark already is for the back, and you can see I'm going ahead to measure to show us that I marked 1.5 inches for our zip allowance, and the one on top is for the front. Can you see where I placed the center front? I placed it away from the zip allowance measurement. Okay, so you want to make sure to do that. So we're drafting the front and back together. So right now I'm going ahead to draw the first line, that's the starting line, which is the shoulder line. From the shoulder line, I'm marking the chest line. This is the chest line here. Next, I'm going ahead to mark the waistline. Next is the hip line. And then next is the length. Now this gown has a down part, so this length I'm marking is not the full length of the gown. It will stop on the knee before we attach the gathers we're going to attach to it. So from shoulder to knee point is 45 inches, which is the length of my wrapper. So you can see that's why I marked at the hem of the wrapper there. So I'll go ahead and straighten out the lines, and then this is our full length at the hem here. So I'll come to the shoulder line, placing my tape from the center front. Take note of where I'm placing my tape. Can you see? So placing my tape from the center front, I'm going to mark the shoulder measurement divided by 2 plus half. Having marked it, I'm going to mark 3 inches neck width. We're going to alter this neckline. This is just so that we can use it to achieve our shoulder slant. So I'm marking 3 inches here. And then I'll come down on the shoulder line. I'll come down by 1 inch for the shoulder slant. That's where I marked the shoulder measurement. And then I'll connect it to the neck width. So now we have our shoulder slant. I'll come down to the chest line and mark the shoulder measurement divided by 2 plus half. And that's it here. So I'll go ahead and connect it to the shoulder slant. You can see it's a straight line now. Having done that, I'll place my tape from the shoulder slant down to the chest line. I'll get the midpoint. Having got the midpoint, I went in by ½ inch. This is to draw out our armhole. So on the chest line here, I'm going to enter the bust measurement divided by 4. So I'm going to connect these 3 points. Connect from the midpoint I came in to the shoulder tip, that's to the tip of the shoulder slant, and then to the bust measurement here. Did you see how I did that? So this is the armhole, and this is for both the front and back armhole. Okay, so having done that, I'll go ahead and enter my sewing allowance of 2 inches there on the chest line. Then we'll come over to the waistline, the waist measurement divided by 4 plus same 2 inches, and I've marked it. On the hip line, hip measurement divided by 4 plus the same 2 inches. And then I'm going to measure what I have on the hip line. I'll bring down the same measurement to the knee line here, which is hip measurement divided by 4 plus 2 inches, and that is 15 inches. So as you can see, I'm using my straight ruler to connect the points, and then I'll connect to the waistline and here to the chest line. Okay, so now just make sure to blend up any sharp point. So having done that, we're going to tighten the back to eliminate zipper bulge. So as you can see, I marked the waistline onto the zip allowance here. So at this waistline on the back, I'll go in by half inch. I'll go in by half inch, and then on the hip line, I'll go up by 1 inch. So this half inch I went in, I'm going to slant it to meet the 1 inch I came up by on the hip line. And then I will come up and mark from that half inch all the way to the shoulder. Can you see that? The next thing I'll be doing is to mark the neck width. I'll be working with a neck width of 5 inches. The neckline is going to be wide and high. Wide in width and then high, of course, in depth. So I'm going to mark 5 inches here as the neck width, and then the neck depth is going to be 5 inches. You may be wondering if 5 inches is high, but this is because I'm making this for a plus size. Normally, we use our bust circumference to get the neckline that sits on the collarbone. And for this client, her bust is 52. 52 divided by 12 gives you your neckline that sits on your collarbone. And for her, it is 4.5. So you can see I'm using a neck depth of 5 inches. So this is just half inch below her collarbone. This is so that it is not too low. It's supposed to be high and wide. I hope we understand that. So that's why I'm making use of 5 inches. So if you're on the small side, you may likely use just 3 inches or even 2.5. So I'll go ahead and connect the neckline like this. And here we are. So I'm going to be using a neck depth of 3 inches for the back and same neck width of 5 inches. So for the back neckline, you can see I'm extending it over the zip allowance. Can you see? So this is it. So I'll bring in my scissors and we'll cut it out. As you can see, I've cut out the back neckline. I'll go ahead and take out the zipper bulge, the shoulder slant, and the side. I'll cut this out while we watch. On the shoulder line, I went up by half inch. That half inch is my sewing allowance to joining the front and back together. And then I'm going ahead to cut the front neckline. I separated the back from the front, and you can see I've cut out the front neckline. So this is what we have. And you see, so this half inch is just my sewing allowance. So the next thing we're going to do is to cut the gathers we are going to have at the down part. At the down part of this gown, I have 15 inches on fold, and we have it in 4 places. So that's 60. Okay, so the width of the fabric we are going to gather to this down part, I'm going to multiply this 60 by 2, and that will give me 120 inches. So you can multiply by 3, you can multiply by 2.5, depending on the amount of fabric you have. So I'm multiplying by 2. So to determine the length of the gathers, I'm going to subtract what I have here on this upper part of the gown, which is 45 inches. I'll be subtracting it from the full length of the gown, which is 62. So 62 minus 45, that will give us 17. That's the length of the gathers. We need hemming allowance for the gathers, and we also need the joining allowance on the upper part. So I'll be adding 3 inches to that 17 inches. That will give me 20 inches. So the length of the fabric we're going to attach at the down part is going to be 20 inches. Then the width is 120. So I'll go ahead and cut that out. Okay, as you can see, I've cut it out, and this is 20 inches in length, and in width it is 120. 20 inches as well. So next we're going to cut our sleeves. So to draft the sleeve, first I'm going to measure what I have here on the armhole. This is so that you finish and make sure that the sleeve fits in. Okay, so here at the armhole, including my sewing allowance, I have about 15 inches. So to fold my fabric for the sleeve, I'm going to be folding 20 inches. This is because we're going to, it's a balloon sleeve and we're going to gather it a bit at the upper part. So 20 inches is fine. Take note that this 20 inches is on two sides. It's on fold. Remember I measured just one side of the armhole and I got 15. So meaning the front and back armhole is 15, 15, and that's 30 inches. And here on fold I folded 20 inches, so we're just going to gather it. So right now I'm measuring the length of the sleeve and I'm working with a length of 13 inches. So because this is an extravagant sleeve, I'm just, can you see how I just drew out the cap, the sleeve cap here? I used my free hand to do this. You can see the shape I have. So this is basically it for our sleeve. So I'm going to increase the length of the sleeve. Here I have 13 inches. Okay, so I'm going to increase the length to be 15 inches. That's, I'm just adding 2 inches for the hemming allowance that will allow the elastic we're going to have at the hem of the sleeve to pass through. So I'm making the length of the sleeve now 15 inches. I just decided to increase it a little by 2 inches, and this is it. So I'll cut out the sleeve and I'll cut the second one out, and then I'm going to show us how to create that jacket sleeve I'm talking about, because we're going to have, or I was talking about rather, we're going to have two sleeves. Okay, so this is the first one. You can see I have two pieces. This is the one that we're going to have an elastic casing at the hem of the sleeve, and then we'll gather it to the armhole. So to draft the second sleeve, which is going to be the zigzag sleeve, which I call the sleeve that is going to be serve as the jacket for the other. So here I'm folding my fabric into two. I'm going to use the exact armhole measurement I got, which is 15 inches. Can you see I placed my tape slantly to be sure that I have that 15 inches? Okay, and then the length of the sleeve is going to be 10 inches plus hemming allowance of 1 inch, that's 11 inches. So I'll be cutting the both of them together. So I'll fold this fabric I have now into four, and you see it's already folded into two, so I'm folding into four. So here the length I have is 11 inches. Okay, so we're going to achieve our length this way. So I'll just go ahead and draw out the sleeve cap, you can see, using my free hand, and this is it. So I'll go ahead and measure to be sure that it is up to the 15 inches I have on the armhole. And here we have it. So next we're going to create the zigzag shape. So to create the zigzag shape, I'm going to first of all cut out the sleeve cap, and then I will come up by 1 inch from the hem of the sleeve. That's the hemming allowance. We're going to be hemming with that 1 inch. So first I'm going to mark that 1 inch at the hem, and having marked it, next I'm going to divide the remaining measurement in twos. I'm going to mark 2 inches. So I'll mark 2 inches in 5 places. And you see, so I'll go ahead and mark my 2 inches in 5 places, and here it is. So now to create the zigzag effect from the first one now, can you see that this is the first one? I'll go in by 1.5 inches, and then I'll skip the second one and go to the third one and go in by 1.5 inches. Can you see? Then I will skip the fourth one and then go to the fifth and go in by 1.5 inches. Now this is it. So I'll use my straight ruler to connect. So from the part I went in, I will go out. Can you see that? I'm just basically creating the zigzag shape. So I'll just keep repeating the same thing till I get to the end. And here we are. And you see, so I have my 1 inch at the hem. So now we have our zigzag sleeve. We'll be hemming the down part with the 1/2 inch. So this is our lace trimming that we're going to be stitching to the zigzag opening we have here. So I will place the lace trimming on the wrong side on the wrong side. So I'm going to place the right side of the lace trimming on the wrong side and stitch it following the zigzag shape, which is what I have done here. So like I said, I'm going to place the lace trimming on the wrong side of the fabric, the right side of the lace trimming on the wrong side of the fabric, so that when I turn it to the right side, I will have the right side of the lace trimming. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so I'm going to place it following the zigzag shape, and I'll stitch very close to the edge. So I'm going to just stitch following the zigzag shape. Just watch carefully. You just keep navigating. Just make sure to turn correctly. Make sure the points are sharp, so that if you stitch very close to the tip of the trimming, that's the end, the hem of the trimming. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. You can see the trimming has this tiny part that is not even up to quarter inch. So that's the point I'm stitching on. I'm stitching on each round, and then I will turn it to the right side and make a top stitch on it to hold it down. So right now I'm done stitching on the wrong side. As you can see, I've turned it to the right side. So I'm making a top stitch on it. Now I'm no longer stitching on that edge. I'm now stitching on this part that has the scallop shape. So I'm just going ahead to follow the shape and stitch it all the way to the other side. So here we're done with the stitching. So I'll go ahead and hem the down part by that 1 inch I have there. So I'll fold in ½ inch first and fold in another ½ inch, and we have it. So this is a zigzag sleeve. So here it is. So I'm going to keep this aside first, and we'll treat the longer sleeve, that's the balloon sleeve. As you can see, I've also hemmed the down part of our balloon sleeve, and I've gone ahead to run loose stitch. I'll be using this loose stitch to gather it to fit into the armhole of 15 inches on both sides. So that's 30 inches. So I'm going to be gathering the upper part of this sleeve to 30 inches. And then here is my elastic band. So this elastic band is the round elbow measurement of my client. This is her actual round elbow measurement. This is so that by the time we are done stitching, it's just going to be less with about 2 inches, so that the elastic is not too tight. And you can see I'm using my safety pin to insert it into the hemming allowance I serving now as our elastic casing. So you want to be careful not to let the elastic escape into the elastic casing, that's into the hemming allowance. So you can see now that I know I have just small, I just pinned it down to secure it. So I'll keep on pushing the elastic till it comes out from the other side. Then I'll go to my machine and stitch those parts down, and then gather the sleeve to the armhole measurement, and I'll show us the next thing to do. After gathering the sleeve, I'll go ahead and place the jacket, that's the zigzag sleeve, over the balloon sleeve. I'll pin the two caps together. I gathered the sleeve to 30 inches. So this is exactly the measurement I have on the sleeve cap of the zigzag sleeve. And you see, so I've pinned them together. So I'll take this to my sewing machine and stitch on ½ inch. That's to hold the both sleeves together. I'll go do that and show us the next thing to do. Okay, I'm done joining the both sleeves together, and this is what we have. So I'm going to pin the down part of our zigzag sleeve over the balloon sleeve. So now this is it. You can see we have gathered the balloon sleeve already. So I'm going to just pin our excess so that it sits over the balloon sleeve like this. So can you see? I'm just going to pin, and then I'll pleat whatever excess I have, and here it is. Can you see that? So I will take this to my sewing machine and make a top stitch. I'll be making that top stitch exactly at the point where I stitched the hemming allowance, so that we don't have several stitches there. It is neater when you have one stitch. I hope we understand. So this is what our sleeve will look like. So you can see that the zigzag looks like a jacket. The balloon is in excuse me, the balloon is inside it, and this is it. So I'll repeat the same thing for the second sleeve. So now the next thing we're going to do is to place our shiny bias to create our own embroidery. So I'll be starting with the gold color. I'm going to have four of the gold colors at the middle. Now this is it. You can see I ironed the center front, so that I have my crease line, and you can see how I'm placing the bias. I'm placing it away from the center front. That's like one side of the center front, place making sure that it aligns with the center front. I hope you understand it. Just watch carefully, you understand what I'm doing. You can see I'm placing it from one side. So I have two, and then I placed the other ones at the other side. So now two to the left, two to the right. That's it, okay? So two of each of the color, but because this gold is going to be in the middle, it's now going to be four, because two towards the left, two towards the right, meaning we're going to have two gold, two burnt orange, and then two blacks. Then to the left we'll have two golds, two burnt orange, and then two blacks. So it will now look as if this will actually, not that it will look as if, this will actually make the gold four in the middle, because it has to be two to the left, two to the right. And here I have my hemming gum. Can you see? I'm placing my hemming gum first on the wrapper, and then I'll place the bias over it. So you will need steam iron to gum this very well before top stitching. So this will make it straight, because if you pin, it may likely shift. This will just give you a neat job, and it will be easier to work with. Okay, so just make sure to press it very well. So I'm going to stick this four first, and then I'll go ahead and stick the next two. The next two are going to be, it is going to be the burnt orange. So two burnt orange to the left, two burnt orange to the right, and then the black, two blacks to the left, two blacks to the right. I'm going to do that and show us what we have. Okay, as you can see, I'm done placing the bias, and I also went ahead to top stitch each of them using their respective matching thread. You want to make sure to do that also. So next I'm going to fold into two the neckline like this and press it, and then I'll go ahead and trim out the excess bias I have on the neckline. So this is basically reshaping the neckline, and here we are. Next, I'm going to bring in the lining. I also cut a lining for this outfit. The lining is exactly the same length as the upper part, because the down part is not going to have lining, so there's no need. This does not have a hemming allowance. That's just basically what I want to say. So next I'm going to take this to my machine, stitch around the neckline, the sides, and then turn it out from the armhole. As you can see, I'm done stitching the neckline. I'm going ahead to notch it so that it relaxes well when we turn it out. And I've also stitched to the sides. So this is what it looks like. So I'm going ahead to give this a nice press to make sure it is well relaxed, and then I'm going to place my hemming gum in between the lining and the fabric to keep the neckline in place. So I'm just going to place the hemming gum in between and then give it a nice press to make sure it sits centered. I also went ahead to turn the back neckline, and next I'm going to fix the zipper. So to fix the zipper, as you can see, I placed them right side facing right side. Then I'm going to measure from the neckline down to 19 inches. That's where the zipper will stop, and I'll mark that point. So I'm going to stitch 1 inch all the way down. I'm going to stitch on 1 inch all the way down, and then the 19 inches I left open is going to be our zipper opening. That's where we're going to attach the zipper. So I'm going to stitch from this point I marked all the way down and press the 1 inch, which is our zip allowance. Okay, so and here we are. I'm done fixing my zipper, as you can see, and I also went ahead to press the zipper. So next I'm going to join the shoulders of the front and back together. And you see I place them right side facing right side, and I flip the lining to the lining side, and I'll go stitch it then stitch the sleeves to the armhole, shape it on 1 inch. Remember, I added 2 inches as our sewing allowance. So I stitched on 1 inch, so the remaining 1 inch is for ease. I'm not stitching on the 2 inches completely, so I left 1 inch for ease. This is so that the gown is free for you to sit, stand, and be comfortable to bend and all that. So that's just basically ease. So the next thing we're going to do is to sew the gathers to the down part. I've also gone ahead to hem the down part of the gathers, and I've also gathered it to the circumference I have at the hem of the gown. Remember, we said it was 15 inches, and when we calculated it gave us 16 total, but now I've shaped the gown, so of course that measurement has reduced. So it's giving me 27 inches in front and 27 inches at the back, so which is 54 inches. So 54 is what I gathered our fabric to. So 27 unfold, you can see it's folded into two. So I'll make sure to have that 27 here. Okay, so 27 in two places, that's going to give us 54 inches. Then next I went ahead to notch the middle, and I also notch the center front of the down part of the gown. Now this is me pinning our gathers to the hem of the gown, that's to the down part of the gown. Then I'll go ahead and stitch it round on 1/2 inch and take off the gathers thread. Okay, and then I'll also stitch close the center back. That's after I must have woven the rough parts. That's, I'll weave it first, and then I'll go ahead and stitch close the center back all the way down to the hem, making sure that they are well aligned on the left and on the right. Then I will show us what we have. So you can see after pinning it, I'm going to stitch close the center back. That's just what I showed us. So now this is the final outcome of our gown. And you see, I've also gone ahead to give it a very nice press. You can see how beautiful the gown looks. The sleeves, you can see how the balloon is coming out of the zigzag area, and the down part, you can see how our gathers is even, everything is lying very beautiful. Our bias is sitting pretty. It came out so well. So we have come to the end of this video. If you have learned something from this video, please make sure to like this video, share this video with your friends, and do not forget to subscribe to my channel. And also ensure that you put on your notification bell so you'll be the first to get a notification every time I upload a new video. Thank you so much for staying true with me. Thank you for subscribing to my channel. Thank you for your support. See you in my next video. Bye.